Welcome to the full moon in Virgo ceremony. Shout out to Alex Scars and Luna G. We seen y'all right when you commented. I think it's dope how we have the presence we do in what seems like a nice small start to this community, but as we start to grow. So shout out to everyone present. If you are here live in this full moon Virgo ceremony, you are taking part in history, which sounds very cool to say, but can also be very vague. But trust me when I say this is super significant, especially even though the full moon will be like more exact tomorrow. It's good to usher this in. How you doing, Apollodite?
I'm doing swimmingly. How the hell are you? Because this is going to be a Pisces season that is going to revolutionize everything. And we are just 2 hours into Pisces season. So this is definitely going to be interesting. And now that we're out of Aquarius season, there's this element of mystery and unknowing, because this 12th house influence that Pisces brings is bringing to light, represented by the sun, a lot of things that have been hidden, especially for the past year, because Pisces season marks the final 30 days of any zodiac year. So yeah, this is going to be a full moon, because this is also the last full moon of the solar year. I believe also technically of the lunar cycle this year as well. So there's this change and transformation that the full moon in Virgo always brings, that you know, and there's a lot to talk about this very, very, very magical full moon. But I am feeling great. How are you feeling, Mr. Gemini?
I'm feeling like I died and was reborn multiple times, but it happened so fast. It happened within a thought. I don't know how to describe it. I feel like the shifts that we've been talking about for so long are actually happening, and I don't know how to like perceive it, which makes sense because we just stepped into a portal. You did mention the other day you wanting to do this a bit earlier, and I didn't realize that when we did this right now, the sun would be 0 degrees Pisces, which is such a wild card. It's 30 degrees Aquarius. It's 0 degrees Pisces. It's so potent of energy. For us to be holding our intent now is actually really awesome. And you know, for the small amount of time we had the moon in Leo while the sun was at the end of Aquarius, that actually supercharges your energy. So I'm actually grateful that you get to host this for us, because you're really hooking it up for us. I don't think people are aware, but definitely grateful for that. In fact, the sun is 0 degrees Pisces, the moon is in Leo. That's the inverse of your sun and moon. Just realizing that right now. So how do you feel about that per se?
Well, it's very interesting, because the moon right now, it's currently 21 degrees. My sun is 20, but Jupiter's also trending over to my sun right now too. So this is, you know, really being amplified, and I'm bringing the juice. I'm bringing the sauce. I'm not playing around anymore. This is Pisces season where anything goes. And so I'm just so sick and tired of the old mundane. And that's what this moon, and that's what this little ceremony we're going to do today is going to really be about. It's sort of like this, because yesterday I did sort of, with Chiron moving, you know, 29 degrees, I did sort of a prayer for the past. Now, what I want to do tonight is to kind of bring that in. But now that Chiron's in Aries, this is us embodying who we are now. And this moon is really it's the manifestation. But I'm trying to think of the best analogy for it, because it's like you have the house, and this is you turning the key representing your psychic abilities, or your sheer manipulation of will or whatnot, and then stepping into the portal of this full moon, into Pisces, into your house, into your dream world. And so this Leo Pisces energy being activated is all about your divine heavenly kingdom. And trust me, there's nothing more divine or royal than Leo Pisces energy together. And people, when it comes to the modern planets of Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, there's discussion and debate on what exalts where, if they do it anywhere. Personally, as a Leo Pisces, I put forward the notion that Neptune exalts in Leo, because it really truly embodies the divine oneness of love, and it really shines. And that's what this energy of Leo and Pisces is really all about. It's all about shining. And so how appropriate that we because technically this is the full moon phase, because as Mike said, the sun was in Aquarius and the moon was in Leo. That's the 7th house. That's the full moon. And so what this energy is kind of doing now that it's shifting into Pisces is it's not the fixed, rigid thinking of Aquarius. It's the fantasy and malleability of Pisces. And so with this Leo heart energy, it's really just as simple as just being and living what you want. If you are, we can do something super simple by our means, but if you wanted to be an astronaut, you are now an astronaut, but you must do that. And that's what this Virgo moon is going to remind you, is that you have to live the lifestyle, because, you know, it's one thing to have it in your heart, but then you have to meet it halfway. And it's really just as simple as doing what you do. It's just acting as you would, you know, if you are, you know, a king or a queen, you got to act like one. You got to have the aura of one. You got to have the responsibility of one, because heavy is the head that wears the crown. And so I think there's just also notion of responsibility, because even Mars and Taurus technically is going to be supporting this full moon. And that's really us, you know, really standing and walking and living in our worth and in our value. And so at the same time, you know, a king wouldn't take shit from a peasant. He just wouldn't, right? And so there's this notion of us, you know, really having to walk our talk. And it's really just as simple as walking. And granted, this is Pisces energy, so it might feel like we're walking forward when in reality we're walking backward, or vice versa. But, you know, a lot of this energy is really going to be revealing a lot, since Pisces is everything hidden. It's the final zodiac sign. It represents everything that could not be explained before, because it represents your experience. And so this energy leading, especially, and, you know, and this ties in very, very significantly with Chiron and Aries finally leaving Pisces and starting the new journey. So I definitely feel that for all of us, this is a new awakening of power for sure. A lot of mental energy, a lot of spiritual energy. And this is something that's been dormant, but now is finally ready to be awakened. So what are your thoughts so far on, you know, especially with this 30-degree aspect between Chiron and the sun?
Yes, I'm so glad you mentioned that. We have a 30-degree aspect with Chiron and the sun. So we're manifesting realistic healing and how we step into this divine awareness. Divine awareness is fishy. No pun intended. It's Piscean, right? But the full moon we're having in Virgo subsequently is meant for us to release old behaviors that get in the way of these dormant abilities and dormant ways to perceive coming through. And I think the best thing about this is that it's not just a concept anymore. I mean, the synchronicities we've been experiencing every day are amazing, especially towards what we're avoiding, especially towards, and this is where I feel the Chiron comes in, what we're avoiding. While it was in Pisces, it was showing us vulnerabilities that we might kind of instinctually kind of just sweep under the rug, because it's like a facet of us or a facet of other people that are disgusting to us. And I feel like now in Aries, we get to confront that now that it is full. I really didn't I was so focused on Uranus going into Taurus that I realized Chiron in Aries is probably a little bit more important, because it's starting a whole new cycle. Every single one of you that is here, I'm so grateful for, because I'm not fully aware of how, and that's the cool thing about Virgo, the nitty gritty details, how each single person that takes a part, whether they do a lot or a little, it all adds to that whole. So I'm really grateful. I think it's amazing that this 30-degree aspect is probably the exact aspect that's going to, like a defibrillator, shock up a lot of these latent abilities. And I didn't realize until just now, for the past couple of months, especially this Aquarius season, I think it was, if not 0 degrees, that we had the full moon. The sun was 0 degrees Aquarius, and then we had the full moon. And then it was 29 degrees, and then the moon came back into Leo. So I think there's deep significance to having the full moon in the beginning of it, and then starting to have it at the end of it, where we're bringing the beginning and the total encompassing knowledge to download and unpack this whole Pisces season. So fully expect the unexpected, fully expect paranormal, crazy experiences, to where I'm getting the wisdom to not share these with people, but I'm gonna break this rule right now. This is how crazy this is going. I got all the synchronicities I've seen yesterday hit me with the mouth open, like so unexpected. It's how this is coming at us. I wrote a poem about falling down a rabbit hole. The very last line was saying, you know, if you want to become whole, surrender and fall into this rabbit hole. And right as I X that out, this beat starts playing unrelated to the website. And the picture is Alice falling down in a rabbit hole. And I'm like, yo, universe, stop trolling me. Like, well, keep showing me. This is amazing. But it made me realize, like, we haven't seen anything yet. Like, I didn't realize the universe is setting us up to, which I think this full moon is going to facilitate, which I'm so glad you're a part of this, bro. Because it's like when the mother pushes the birds out so they either fall or they fly, it's like the universe is going to completely immerse us into supernatural experiences that are already happening to really trigger this. And I love right now that you mentioned that just flipped the switch. It's like we have latent energy that's not going to be latent anymore. And Virgo is all about integration. So we're putting it all together over the next 2 weeks. And then the new moon in Pisces is like, okay, you've put it all together, new intention, new divine adventure. So it's small. I feel like the effects of this are going to be barely noticeable, but it's going to have the hugest change. And we're going to notice the biggest stuff, even though what we're going to do is going to be really simple and barely noticeable. So
yeah, that's true. And, you know, even something that you said really also resonated, because within the body, Virgo rules the intestines, which is where that messy chyle, it's called chyle, it's that the food mass gets absorbed into the bloodstream in order for it to go to the liver and what we call the hepatic portal system. Pisces, which is where the magic happens in the body. This is because the liver is very much so almost like the alchemist organ, because it has over 10 functions in the body. It's one of the most diverse. And in ancient Greek medicine, it's the one that creates the four humors, which are the building blocks of the body. And so I feel like this is very relevant because even in that message, the body absorbs what it's exposed to in food and then integrates that with its structure. And so when the little things that you eat matter, your diet matters. And like, this isn't even necessarily specifically, diet or health focused, but, the little skills that you've picked up on the way that you haven't noticed. Like, and even in myself, for example, I have like terrible posture. I always have as a kid, but like through years of training my body, I will unconsciously fix my posture. And it's about integrating the spiritual and the physical. And even the ancient Greeks, they believed that, that we were souls and that the nerves were actually hollow tubes that the soul would actually use and move and manipulate through. And it would be housed in the heart, actually not the brain, but they did know that the brain coordinated thoughts and functions. So it's interesting to think about how all of these, and even, aspects from, Greek medicine thousands of years ago was, even in basic principle, of course, they didn't have microscopes, but they were pretty accurate from, my own studies, from my own research. And it's a shame that modern medicine kind of mocks and scoffs at anything that doesn't have immediate results, because this is going to be the time where, even just psychically, spiritually, there's going to be unexplained phenomenon that are going to require greater focus. And that's just going to start the snowball effect and help prove how a lot of spiritual things are real and not even necessarily spiritual. So, astrology is a science. It's an objective thing. Of course, how you use it is subjective, but, you were born on a specific time, a specific place, and a specific moment. You have a birth chart. It's out there. Even if you don't know what it is, there's a way to dissect it. And so there's this element of, things finally starting to come together, centuries, lifetimes. And this is all tying in with Uranus. Because remember, as soon as he moves into Taurus, that's ending the square with the nodes, and that's ending the timeline shift. Also, upcoming, this next time, this moon in Libra, it's going to be the last time that the opposition to Uranus and Aries is formed. And it's going to be the last time that we're going to see the Grand Cardinal cross. So I feel like what a lot is going on today is really clearing the playing field of the old and allowing the new seeds that you planted years ago to finally bloom. And this is when you can actually eat the fruit and gain nourishment from the strength. So Yeah, that's a very long analogy, but I think that it's a, because it's a vastly integrated system. There's layers on layers on layers on layers, you
Yeah.
know, and so it gets complicated. But, Chiron moving out of Pisces is going to give a lot of opportunity to show what you've learned from the pain and show what you've learned from the mistakes and the deceit even, and to embrace the warrior courage of Aries. Because thankfully, to have, if we're going to have at least something in a fire sign, Chiron and Aries isn't that bad, because it's reminding us to be true to ourselves. It's reminding us to, always heal ourselves and to not be reliant on, it's not that you can't rely on other people, but it's like when you're on the battlefield and you're by yourself, you can't, jump, into the fray and expect to jump, and be okay. There's this element of, trust and reliance in yourself that you have to, really believe in. But
True
yeah,
that.
everything's finally starting to come together. This is very, very, very exciting. And also Venus made her conjunction with Saturn. We haven't even talked about that.
Yeah, 16 degrees. Exactly.
And have you noticed that Venus and Mercury, I've been tracking them. They're not going to exactly sextile. They're going to be within a 1 degree orb, but the exact minute will never arrive, because by the time Venus moves into Aquarius, Mercury's already retrograding in Pisces. And so there's this notion, it's like a railgun effect where they're both supercharging each other.
Yeah.
And Venus is providing structure and support for Mercury, while Mercury's providing the flexibility that Venus needs, because Venus exalts in Pisces. Mercury's in its detriment. And also with Neptune finally making its conjunction with Mercury, we are, we're seeing, maybe not even necessarily seeing, because Gemini and Mercury is more thought, which does, the sun is more your awareness, but there's this intuitive understanding that I think all of us are timing into, some sort of like morphic resonance, if you will, this notion of united memory, a sort of emotional matrix, which I think all four mutable signs represent their elemental matrix, where Gemini is the matrix of thought, Virgo is reality, Pisces is fantasy, and Sagittarius, you could say, is belief, or spirit, or fire, for lack of a better term. But everything's coming together. To have all this mutable energy is absolutely insane, and you are going to see miracles happen before your very eyes. I had a miracle happen before, just yesterday. I thought I was going to be in, a really tough spot. I thought I was going to be able to get out. And then as soon, like literally an hour or two after I felt like that way, I got my miracle, and everything went, and everything's back on track. And this is going to, you're going to see how your guides, how your ancestors, how everything, how you weren't even aware of adds up to the now. And that's the beauty of it.
Mm-hmm. And one thing I forgot is that conjunctions are activation points. Like maturity in this study has shown me that we have to look at cycles. So yeah, I enjoy conjunctions, but now I'm like, I wonder what the opposition is going to be like, because Venus on Saturn has started something serious. Mercury on Neptune, 15 degrees, is activating right now a divine understanding of this magical energy, which you did say Pisces was fantasy, but I've come to learn on top of fantasy, Pisces is also like the highest level of science, the highest level of metaphysics. Pisces moons, Pisces suns can have just this over genius understanding of reality that will sound like fantasy to some people. So I feel like we're going to break through and actually understand stuff that was in front of us, but our subconsciouses didn't know how to perceive. And we'll just kind of get it, which I'm so excited for. And especially seeing Mercury go retrograde. That's something I wanted to touch on, though. So we do have this whole dynamic with fixed, mutable, and cardinal energies. And I've come to respect the fixed signs as our source. You have the Leo source, right, of energy. You have the Taurus source. I see them as octaves of love and currency as well, where you have the groundedness of Taurus, but then the high intellect of the source of knowledge, but then you have the source of pure depth of emotions. But then all this is from the core source of Leonine heart energy, right? So I see cardinal energy as like being able to punch, the force and power it takes to take action and punch or open the door. And then the mutable sign energy is so key because it's like, yeah, you can punch, but if you can't perceive, you're going to be missing your punches. If you don't know, if you don't have the right perceptual energy to have that like mutable genius, you might not have the most cardinal power, but you could use your perceptual energy to hit them at an angle that will do more damage. But all of this is dependent on the fixed sign energy, because the fixed sign will denote the strength of that punch. If you have a lot of fixed, the punch will be powerful, but it will come from a strong source. And it's like, I'm starting to see the fixed signs as energy sources, like our ability to harness and generate energy, which I, for some reason, thought was cardinal for so long. But it's like we need that strength so that we have more power in our step, which seeing Uranus finally go into Taurus is now going to take this abstract energy and download the source we got from Uranus and Aquarius and now make very real in Taurus. So seeing this stop squaring the nodes, really awesome. And yeah, y'all, as we get into this ceremony, I really want you to focus, or we really want you to focus on, since the full moon is about kind of releasing and balancing, you know, what sorts of behaviors or habits are you ready to make peace with? Or are you ready to kind of step into more? It's on the surface, we're going to like kind of focus on behaviors, but it's so much deeper than that. It's integrating what, like Apollodati said, we've already sowed the seeds for a long time ago and can finally come into motion. I get the sense, I want to stay away from saying you're going to see more miracles or you're going to see more synchronicities, because I've realized we've always been seeing it. It's just, of course, our conscious minds will focus on what we think is relevant. And through the surrendering of this divine awareness, I always, for some reason, think like Mercury on Pisces is dropping a drop of acid on your third eye and just like, so yeah, it's definitely the feeling that I'm getting is that you're going to feel what has been here, but you just haven't perceived. And that extra addition over the next 2 weeks will fundamentally change how you interact with your reality. And since we're in Pisces season, we've developed power, we've developed strength through knowledge. Now this is all about playing with what we know. This is all about readjusting our focus to see what's always been here. And I'm so excited to move forward into that.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that that was an amazing analogy with the door, because it's so true, because you might not be able to, because like mutable people, like they don't have like a lot of like raw strength like Aries or even like Capricorn with the precision. But if you can see the door open, that's just as good, because then the door will open. It's sort of like that traditional, well, actually, I don't want to give that, just kidding. I don't want to give that analogy because it's a little not incorrect. But anyway, yeah, I think there's this element of, you know, this, because if you notice, all three modalities are sort of being aspected right now, or at least recently. And, you know, once the outer planets move into their respective signs, that's going to be that for a while. But, you know, this is also really, I feel like there's something that there's something that needs to be said, but I can't quite channel it out. And I feel like that's what Mercury and Pisces is. I feel like there's this test that we're all going to have to go through. It's sort of like the final exam. And for example, the Chunin arc in Naruto, or even the Hunter exam in Hunter x Hunter. You are completely and utterly reliant on your own skills. You can't, you know, if you can't pass the test, they're not going to send you off to the middle of nowhere where you're definitely going to die. And so I feel like this ties in well with that baby bird analogy where, you know, you fly or you sink. And so and it's going to be as simple as you just like waking up and, you know, thinking in a new way and changing, because you have to understand that a lot of what the unconscious does and a lot of what the body is based to do is it's literally designed to avoid pain. So if there's been a stimulus or, you know, a negative stimulus where you've expressed yourself or your truth or your heart or whatever, and you've been rejected, that leaves a negative imprint literally within your body. And so what Mercury is going through is it's going through this mental detox of sorts. And so even Chiron going through here really brought a lot of that, you know, victim complex out. And so there's this notion of people realizing that they don't need to be saved. They just need to they just need to, you know, be their own savior. And I feel like a lot of what this energy, you know, tying into, because, you know, keep in mind, because once we're done, you know, a month from now, we've got Venus in Aquarius, and then she's going to move through Pisces. And so, you know, Mars has been through here in Pisces, and, you know, everyone has been through Pisces come the new solar year. And then once we have Venus, you know, this is really getting you adjusted to a lot of the personal changes, a lot of the personal quirks. And even this upcoming new moon in Pisces is going to, actually, yeah, so this is not the final lunar phase of this zodiac year, but this new moon is going to be that. So this is really sowing the seeds of the life that you're reaping now and what you want to enhance in the future. So it's really just, you know, growing abundance more and more and more and more. And to be honest, life, I feel, is going to get a lot more simpler in the future. Like very recently, of course, it's going to get more abstract, but how we perceive and understand it is going to be much more easier. So for those of you who have been going crazy, this is going to be stress relieving, I feel. As long as you're willing to allow life to lead you and to show you, rather than you blindly looking around asking, where's my miracle? Where's my miracle? Instead of just looking on your path, and you'll see it. You know, trust and believe. It's not going to be behind you. It's not going to be, you know, something that you had experienced and you aren't, and you're not going to be aware of it. And even if it was in the past, you're going to see how it is, and you're going to see what it transforms into, because energy cannot be created. It can only be transformed or destroyed.
True that.
Destroyed. Yeah.
And like Mercurial Muse said, you know, words don't come as naturally. Even as a Gemini, ever since Mercury went into Pisces, people ask me how I am, or like to ask my opinion on something. I don't know what the hell to say. Like, it's just like what I want to say, I can't put into words. So it's just like, damn.
And it's sorry to interrupt, but that's honestly what you need to be doing, what we all need to be doing. And trust me, I have a Mercury Virgo. And so I'm like, I don't know how to explain to you that, you know, reality is malleable based on your thoughts. And because it's like, you can't explain this to someone who chooses to not believe in magic. That's ultimately the fundamental point. And, you know, this is sort of it's almost like you finishing your education at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, where it's like you've learned the lessons and now you're out there in the world. So it might not be as like clear cut, because, you know, when you're in school, you have a schedule. Like, you go to this classroom, you learn this, you learn that. But life doesn't work that way. Mercury doesn't work that way, at least not in Pisces or Sag. This is all about learning through experience, and not, because you can learn everything from someone and they might not ever say a word. And this is where Gemini, or rather Mercury, who in many ways is almost like the fool card of the planets, has to learn that ultimately its experience is the only thing that it can learn from, rather than what someone teaches it, what you can learn in a classroom. Because yeah, sure, you know, Virgo can be quantified, but Pisces is unexplainable. So, you know, don't shoot yourself in the foot trying to, you know, put pen to paper that which you can't, if you can't, you know, if you can't look at it, if you can't write it down, then you can't explain it. So it's all about Pisces. It's all about trust and going with the flow.
Amen. And, you know, with Chiron and Aries, I do get this whole ability. It's like Chiron and Pisces forced us to surrender, because we get very defensive when people point out our flaws, when people kind of express disinterest. I feel Chiron and Pisces made us all sensitive to that darker facet of our shadow, which connects to the collective unconscious, which can let you know how people disapprove of you, how people don't like you. Also how people like you, but in a weirder way. It's like revealing all the sorts of shadow qualities and tendencies that come to it. And one thing that was great with the trine to Jupiter and Scorpio, but difficult, is just having to accept, you know, facets of yourself you need to work on, facets of, you know, yourself that you can do better. And also, once again, psychically receiving manipulation, psychically hearing negativity from other people, whether psychically or non-verbally, in the way someone remarks or glances at you, or what their body language gives away. Pisces is very much so unspoken. So I feel like now that it's in Aries, it's like, now we can confront it. Now it's like, okay, bitch, first of all, No, you're not going to come and be like, it's like now we had to feel vulnerable. We had to feel into what hurt. We had to really listen to this so we could know how to confront it. Because everything about Aries is establishing your character. And this is what's going to be so empowering for many people. It's like, yes, I might be at fault here, but let me turn what's a fault into a power now. Let me turn my pain into my strengths, or let me turn something that was already good into something greater. So definitely step into that spirit. Many of you are going to realize that the same things you were afraid of, the same things that you were worried of, the same things that you were awkward about is actually your opportunity to really step into greater strength. For example, insecurities surrounded about how people feel about you. Now you're in a position to turn it on its head and be like, you know what? Here's why you're actually wrong about this. Here's where you're actually exaggerating about this. Here's why I don't give a single flying crap. Here's why I'm going to stand in my power anyway. So it's just beginning. I mean, I'm sure by the time this is 15 degrees, people are going to be wilder with this. But this is super empowering. Uranus has kind of paved the way. And I just love seeing how the wilder Jupiter goes into Sagittarius, the wilder humanity's getting. I mean, Jupiter and Sag has not been here for a while, and we're seeing wildness, like barely getting. I just showed Apollodite a person live streaming himself getting in a shootout with the cops. Like, Jesus Christ, yo. And we
haven't even hit the retrograde yet.
Exactly. Like April is when all this is going to kick off for sure. And it's, oh my gosh, it's already a bloodbath. So very interested. And
this summer is going to be interesting because, and also, not to get too far ahead, but this Leo season, it's going to be the only time we're going to see, actually, considering that this is going to be the Leo season with Jupiter and Sag after Mars is in Aries. It's a shame that we're not going to see all three in their rulership, but this Leo season, things are going to pop off. You are not like the Leo North node's done. So this is the first Leo season when that's finally over. So you're going to see from Aries from now until Virgo season, the next 6 months from this point is going to show you how the reality that you know is true, and by how you living in your truth is going to finally come together to where everyone's living in it. Where right now it's sort of like we're in a collective dream right now, if you will. And so once we move into Aries, we're still coming down, but it's individualized again. And then once we move into Gemini, it gets a little bit more understanding. And then Virgo is when, because by that point we will go through Cancer and Leo. That's when we come back to, it's going to be like if the North Node in Leo, last year or rather the last time it was there, that really brought out the fullness. And now this is going to be where, everything finally starts to truly homogenize in Virgo, because that's what Virgo rules. It rules assimilation in some ways because it has to tie up the loose ends of the first 5. And so, yep. So, that video was crazy.
Yo, so, and the reason why I'm tripping is because I was expecting this like later on into the transit. Sagittarius is wasting no time, and it made me realize how much we haven't had Sag energy ever, even with Saturn. Like, I think we really missed out on how wild this could be. So I love everything you said about from Aries to Virgo. So true. Jupiter will be direct by then, and by Leo season, that's so true. People will finally have the confidence. Like, the truth is going to come together, and it might not always be the best thing, but it's what we need. It's just people are going to finally have the confidence to say what they've always wanted to say, to do what they've always wanted to do, to really step into themselves, which will bring so much drama because people are going to finally confront someone they didn't have the courage to confront. People are going to finally tell that person off, or tell that person romantically how they feel. And you'll see it's counterintuitive, because people are not going to get exactly what they want, but by them having the courage to do so, they're going to realize that's what they actually wanted. What they thought they wanted was the result, but what they actually wanted was the courage to do it. And that's going to really reshift and focus how they do it, and we're going to start to see a lot more people come out, and that has its fair share of bad things as much as its fair share of good things. You know, very dumb people are going to be courageous about being stupid, and that can be very dangerous. But you're going to see people come out their shell and really start to bring out into the open stuff they've been inventing that really benefits society. I love being born in this age because there's going to be an app for every way to indulge my lazy 12th house Taurus fantasies, and I'm here for it. I'm so here for it. Literally, I don't even have to go to the grocery store anymore. I can go to Postmates and grocery shop.
Oh my God.
It is so
I just want like touch screens where like I can just summon a touch screen and just like organize everything, you know, because like that's just what I want. And to like oh, it's just gonna be incredible. And like Uranus and Taurus is really gonna be what brings all of this in. And this is gonna be a moon because tomorrow we got a trine to Venus, Saturn, and Pluto in Capricorn. So with, you know, Mars supporting this, this is everything manifesting because Mars has had to generate the energy in Aries. It got hyper accelerated at the last moment by Uranus, and it sort of jumped light speed into the next dimension, if you will, in Taurus, because Taurus is very, very material and it's very matter. So there is kind of like a sense of earthy sluggishness to it, I suppose you could say, but this is also what, and considering that Mars is technically in its detriment, but this is still reminding us that it's sort of like, you know, how do I want to describe it? What's a good analogy for it? Where it's okay, so here's a good one. So when it comes to lifting weights, when it comes to gaining muscle, what we call hypertrophy, in order to do so, you have to engage what we call the overload principle. So you literally have to put more stress on your muscle than it can take. And then it literally on a microscopic level shreds a little bit, and then it repairs itself and the cells get stronger, the cells divide more. And so that's what makes your muscles bigger because there's more mass. And so all these little micro tears on your soul, on your spirit, on your body even, there's finally starting to come together. And so Mars and Taurus, it might not feel like you've made any progression, but this is where through endurance, because there's a difference between strength, there's a difference between power, and there's a difference between endurance. And Taurus is all about endurance. So this is us not even putting more effort in, because it's all about thinking smarter, not harder. But it's also about us just really reminding us that our worth and value is enough. When we spend every day in our value and in our royalty, that's what brings it in. And it's interesting because Mars is about action. It's not Venus, which attracts. It's Mars. It projects. It goes outwardly. So this is us projecting our inner worth outwardly. So people might call you cocky. People might call you arrogant. They might say your value's too high. They might think you're too good. And, you know, there's also a difference between, you know, being cocky, but also knowing. For example, you don't think your name, you know your name. And so there's not this notion of, oh, I think I can do this. It's you knowing what you can do. That's what Aquarius season was all about. That's what that sextile with Uranus was all about. And even that's what Pisces and Chiron was all about. It's all about, oh, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can, because it had to put you in that victim mindset in order for you to realize that you can be your own savior. And that sounds a little bit, you know, cliche or gaudy, but it's so true. And of course, you know, there, you know, interdependence is important, but, you know, you have to be able to rely on yourself. And that's what this, you know, energies finally rewarding you all for having to do so, because this is a milestone. This is, you know, a 7-year transit through Aries that Chiron's going to make. So, you know, this is the next level. So, you know, really just, you know, be happy, beloved. And I don't want to say be happy because that's simple, but, you know, breathe, rest easy, because everything will start to make sense from this point.
I'm glad you mentioned that it was 7 years, because in 7 years, Uranus will be in Gemini. So this is right on schedule. Yeah, right on schedule. It's like we have to heal this radical sense of ourselves so that when Uranus goes into Gemini and we're all like mini geniuses who can channel instantly, it's like we at least have the strength of character, the power in our character to trust the crazy shit we're going to be saying, because everyone's going to be talking crazy. Especially Geminis, which I can't wait for. This is going to be so amazing. But other than that, you know, let's get started with the ceremony. We're going to have Apollodati lead this. Honestly, I'll just be holding space. In fact, I wanted to focus this on releasing behaviors, but spirit is telling me we're doing that already. We don't even need to focus on it. Like, it's just naturally shedding. I'm getting more that our conscious minds are catching up to our super conscious. And like, whereas we would experience something and then a couple seconds later we see a synchronicity, it's just like so on point now. It's like exact. And it was exact before, but we just didn't notice it. And so now we're starting to notice it. So
can I share something really, really quick, which is actually kind of haunting?
Take your time. Go ahead.
I don't know. Okay, so first of all, shout out to Frito B, who will be in 100 places at the same time physically. That is possible, and I look forward to you doing that. But also, I don't know if it was because they also posted the lyric, but right before Starhawk posted those lyrics, I was thinking of the same exact Missy Elliott song, the same exact one, which has been the same exact one. And I don't know if it was the Free to Be comment, but I was thinking of that song even before earlier today. So that's even more crazy.
Uh-oh. Okay.
And as I'm saying this, okay, so Mike, you are being interfered with right now. So so I can't. Okay, so you're coming back. All right, I can see you.
Can you hear me? I can see and hear you, so you should be good on your end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Cool. Some interference tried it because they didn't want me telling y'all how powerful these synchronicities are going to be. It's really just as simple as thinking it, and you will experience it. And it's like it's crazy because it's also warranting a lot of this Capricorn energy, a lot of this responsibility, where you're going to have to take accountability for your thoughts. Because it's one thing if you have a thought, because thoughts come and go, and you can't really control those, especially unconscious ones and motivations that you're not aware of. But you have to be able to sort of, fight fire with kindness. So it's like if you think something negative about someone, you kind of say something positive. And it's not even like you have to, roll with them or whatever. But, there's definitely, a sense of responsibility. So just be aware that always think, everything you do, just do in the name of love. That's what I do. And it's just as simple as that. And that's what this Pisces energy is reminding you.
Well said. I even love that you mentioned more so. Oh, don't mind swiping me down. I love that you mentioned more so the dynamic of having accountability for your thoughts, because that's one thing that's been so uncomfortable. I used to be so blissfully ignorant in thinking that like my thoughts were just mine. And now I'm realizing like I don't have to feel as guilty for thinking some thoughts. Instead of feeling guilty that the thought came in my radar, it's like, no, some of those thoughts aren't yours. So it's like you maintain accountability for hearing the thought and then co-signing or not co-signing it. So if you hear a negative thought and then you're agreeing with that thought and you're actually adding to it, then that's your problem. But if you hear the negative thought and you let it go, you don't have to feel guilty for that. You don't have to really care. And it's amazing how magical the realm of the mind is, connecting things instantly. It's like you can have a thought about someone and it instantly links you to them telepathically. And it's like, damn, I wasn't trying to do that. I wasn't trying to do that. And real time, realistically, I don't think in real life that person is thinking of you. It's very possible and it might happen, but this energy is teaching us not to look at things so linearly, trying not to put spirituality in a box like, oh, these superpowers or these psychic powers have to work in this way. And if it doesn't work in this logical way, then it doesn't work. Where Pisces is blowing the lid off that. And it's like, no, anything is possible. Anything can happen. The way you think it's supposed to be is not going to be that way. It's going to be even something deeper. And we finally get to move into that. And I just don't know how to put into words how divine these synchronicities are. But I will say there's definitely, and I think one thing that we might do that's not the best is that we focus so much on the positives. We don't really talk a lot about the negative potential, which we don't really, the reason why I don't focus on it is because it's not really useful to us, but I do want to speak on it. There is a darker side to everybody. that whether you either have great control over it, you've integrated with it, or you haven't. And this facet of yourself is going to, over the next 2 weeks, fully come out. I love that, you know, Victoria's bringing up Truman Show vibes. The synchronicities make me feel like I'm on a hidden camera show and I'm being shown that I'm being watched and listened to all the time. Yes, 100%, uncomfortably so. And then realizing that everyone else feels this to a degree at least makes me feel comfortable personally and lets me know, okay, this is just us getting used to shared senses. Because it's kind of like Truman Show mixed with Sense8, where you have people who are kind of like unaware / aware that they're sharing senses with other people. And then also that, you know, aliens and angels are watching us through GodTube. And I know this is real because I saw this on Dragon Ball Super, and anything in Dragon Ball Super is kind of in real life. So yeah, shout out to Team 7 for saving our universe. But other than that, you know, this is amazing because abstract concepts like this that we really don't have much to do but just marvel at, now we can practically utilize. Now we can actually make use of. Now we're actually going to be aware of these beings that observe us. Just like they say, you look too deep into the abyss, it looks back at you. Well, it's time, you know? So that's why it's hard for me to put into words what's happening now. The small, I tend to look at like cardinal aspects to open doors, but it's this very subtle Moon in Leo, Moon in Virgo transit that in a very short few hours is going to bring into physical form everything we've been abstractually conceptualizing. And it's going to be super awesome. I fully expect some of you with this full moon in Virgo to accidentally or purposefully envision, you know, Pisces sun, imagine a quarter conjuring in your hand. And that whole concept of turning something from nothing makes you wonder, was it really nothing or was that everything? And that's just being channeled. I don't even know what I was going with that. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to where I do know I'm going with this is definitely be aware of and that's what I'm trying to say. This is the best thing because there's nothing different we really have to do. You just have to be aware of everything that you are already doing because you're going to see it in a more divine way. And it's like you'll show yourself how you have been doing what you've wanted to do, but you just haven't been able to perceive it until last week, until now, until next week, at a deeper intensities. So bear with me, y'all. Pluto is like 1 degree away from my moon, so I've just been purging, releasing. This is real. This is like intense. And yeah, let's get into this. Shout out to Sion, whose Wi-Fi just cut out. We're holding space.
Okay. All right. All right. So let's just lead this. So I'm trying to think. So I don't even, because with this Pisces energy, it's so so undercomplicated. It's really just as simple as just holding a vibration and sticking into it. And so I might just lead us in, honestly, just kind of like a prayer. So in a moment, I'm actually just going to turn off my camera, and this is going to be an important kind of tool where you're not even going to need the visual that Sagittarius typically represents because the Pisces energy is going to really bring it in. And besides, this is Leo. This is all about your heart. So yeah, you really just want to get comfortable physically, relax your muscles, start to breathe diaphragmatically, get those deep diaphragmatic breaths in, hold it. It's a good rule of thumb is just keep it the same rhythm. So breathe in for 5, hold for 5, exhale for 5, or whatever feels comfortable and whatever works. The longer, the better. And yeah, I'm actually just going to turn my camera off now because it's really just going to be as simple as us doing a prayer and just really just going to be us, gathering our energies and fully immersing ourselves, not even in our fantasy, but in our reality. And as the moon is currently trining over to Jupiter. This is giving us the creativity that we need in order to realize our full life goal, our full life path. And so you just want to start breathing and keep a healthy rhythm. There is no right or wrong, only what works for you. And even right now, the moon is going to quincunx Pluto. And so there's going to be a release of old people, old connections. You're going to notice that after this broadcast, within, I would say within, since it is technically late night, within 12 to 24 hours, there will be a sacrifice of one relationship in favor of something greater and something healthier. And a lot of this Pisces energy is going to transform things in a very subtle way. So really, the best thing I can offer you is just get in touch with your body. It's really just as simple as that, and really just embracing what you feel physically and learning how to take time to listen to how energy affects you, not just on a mental or emotional, but even a physical level. With this Virgo energy is going to allow you the opportunity to really see how your environment plays out and how it affects you. So just keep breathing. And yeah, I think I'm just going to kind of lead us through a little bit of a prayer. So just keep breathing and relax. And if you feel comfortable, find, or if you're not comfortable, find a comfortable position and imagine your connection to the earth, whether that is, a foot or something on the ground. Just imagine your connection grounding into Gaia and feeling the stress melt away. And when you breathe in, just inhale positive vibrations, inhale your vision, and exhale gratitude. And even just these two steps alone is very, very powerful. But once we ground in individually, we can connect unitedly as a tribe. And even now, I'm feeling it physically, and it's really, these little twitches in your body are not you going crazy. It's not just the placebo effect. This is how energy moves. Your body is made of energy. Protons and neutrons and electrons are all just, different forms of energy interacting with one another. And when you breathe in, you revitalize your body, you revitalize the blood with the life essence, and it allows you to connect even more effortlessly to what life and magic really is. And so the first part of this prayer is going to be a thank you to the past, a thank you to all of the pain, all of the negativity that you have experienced, because in order for you to appreciate the day, you have to experience the night. And now that we are moving into this new dawn and we are seeing everything around us for the first time, because remember, at night you cannot see anything. And even if the moon was full, there's still some secret hidden aspects. And so, under the light of this full moon, all will start to be revealed as the light slowly starts to return to your surroundings. So just take a moment to breathe and thank your inner child. Thank the wounds that you've had to experience. Look at the wounds within. Look in the mirror of your soul. Imagine a mirror before you and look at all the scars and all of the insults, all of the pain as a soul that you've had to experience in order to know what true love isn't, so you can embrace what it really is. And now we channel the essence of water to heal and to nourish and revitalize us. So imagine these wounds being healed. And while there might be some scar, that reminds you of the battles that you've endured, that reminds you of the wars that you have won. This reminds you of the fact that you are here and not somewhere else. You have survived for a reason. And through that tenacity and through your purity of heart, and by dedicating to that, this is what's going to be your sword and shield. And now, as we channel the essence of fire, really just be grateful for this. Might sound, awkward or weird, but or even silly, but you really want to be grateful for the adversary, for the foes, for the enemies, for the drama, for the miscommunications, for the ignorance that you've had to go through, because through that fire, you've embraced yourself, you've tempered yourself. And through that pressure, the coal becomes diamond. Through the heat and through that earth pressure and all that force that's exerted, it becomes something greater than it was before. And through the fire and the forge of this, spiritual war, you've evolved and you've grown. And so this is also sort of a proclamation, if you will. This is a time and a meditation for you to really, proclaim who you are. And you don't need to, get on a soapbox. And many people would still laugh and reject you for who you are. But worry not, dear souls, because the tribe is united and we are all here together as individuals. And even if we weren't here physically, even if we weren't here, mentally or, awareness wise, we are still all connected because only love is real and all is one. So even if someone is in a state of confusion and forgets that, or in a state of unawareness, that does not mean that you will face consequences. That does not mean you will be punished. There are those that might ostracize you and who choose not to accept you, but that is their burden. That is their sin. That is their sin of arrogance to think that they know who you are and what you should be when you are a divine, limitless being. We all are. And so this is a proclamation and a damnation of any dark, negative forces that interfere with us, that remind us that we have endured pain, that try to dilute us from the truth that we are worthy of unconditional love, that we are worthy of our divine path, and we are worthy of everything that we truly need. I think I just channeled something interesting there. Some wires got crossed. But anyway, we can truly, provide for ourselves the life and the love that we need. And we can truly step into our greatness and our divinity and our authenticity by really embracing the pain and by embracing everything that we are, now. And so I definitely feel that this is it, beloved. This is the final moment. So you really just want to be grateful for everything that you've had to go through, because that has been the fire that you've now processed through. And so I think that, this is definitely going to be the moment where we all start to shine and we all start to radiate. And so you can just take a moment just to stay in this energy, because we are all united. As we feel our own individual energies, we are connecting to the group. And so really just allow yourself to, flow, really just allow these emotions to be released. And, there might be, there's some scraped knees, there's some bruises, there's some bumps, some scars. And so these are not to be ashamed of, these are to be proud of. And so as we embrace this warrior-like passion, and as we let go of the old behaviors, the old notions of fear, we've based so many things off of pain. We've based so many things off of illusion. We've based a lot of our lifestyle on it. And now with this public declaration, we now cleanse this of any burdens, any responsibilities that are no longer ours. And so as we move forward with everything, this is us finally and, moving towards and embracing our divine path. And there's nothing holding us back anymore. So really just take as, many deep breaths as you want. You can stay in this, but it really just as simple as breathing, and realize that this is not something that you need to work for. This is something that you already are. You are already here, and you are here in this moment, and that's all you can be. But that's all that love and that's all that magic really is that the moment that you have, you embrace it, both good and bad. And so I think we should close out the prayer now, the ceremony. See, and ceremony is prayer in many ways. And so let's just take 5 deep breaths together. So completely exhaling and then starting. So 1, 2, 3, and breathe in. 1, 2, three, 4, and 5. So thank you all so much. Yeah, this is incredible. So I feel very, very good. How are we all feeling? How are we all doing? Because I feel greatly in alignment now. Um, Feels like my chakras just got aligned.
Very, very well coordinated. Um, I don't really feel anything physically, but energetically, I feel clear, like I took a shower, which is weird as like a earth air dominant. Like I just don't know how to like put it in words, but definitely grateful. Just like Starhawk said, I feel authentic, which is really awesome.
Amen. And that's the light. If it doesn't feel trick, or here's a trick. If it doesn't feel, if you have to ask yourself, is this in character? It's not, and so there's this notion of you having to, as a being now, take responsibility, not just for your actions, but for even your attitude. And it's not, of course, because, attitude isn't just because, people always say, oh, you have an attitude, but, sometimes you need that attitude. And so it's really just this, the responsibility of your mindset and the actions that you take following it. So yeah, and there doesn't even need to be some simple, or we don't even need to write anything. We don't even need to burn anything, because I feel like we've already done that. It's
Yeah.
and so I feel like, even from now on, I feel like the ceremonies, it's really just going to be about us, drawing attention to it and then just breathing. So I feel like it's going to be fun to see how, a rest of the, year is going to play out. But
Facts. I totally agree. Like we've done most of the work, so it's just more about setting that intention and committing to it. So now we're going to I have my Wisdom of the Oracle card deck, so we're going to pull for the signs as we close. Once again, thank you guys so much for taking place, for really kind of like showing up. If you're not watching this live and you're seeing this after, or you're just coming in, um, there's really nothing you have to worry about. Paul Dadi kind of held it down for us. Like, even if you weren't able to directly engage in the prayer, he kind of directed the energy. So just kind of holding the intention to hold space and to really be involved in any capacity is cool. But even basically saying is just don't worry. Don't worry if you did this right or wrong. It's kind of irrelevant. You just kind of got to be here. That's the thing about mutable sign energy. So shout out to Life Misspelled in the building. Thank you for joining us. Much appreciated. So Aries moon, Aries rising. We have the tribe for you. This 11th house transit is shifting in your 12th. So the tribe is definitely speaking a lot about fully owning up to your influence. I really see Aries, the people are going to be gathering around you because they see more into your leadership quality and ability, and you'll be developing the tribe you're currently in.
all right, so for Aries, how interesting, how appropriate. We actually have the bubbles card. So this is definitely talking about cleansing, leaving behind the old, and really washing away the old notions of what I'm channeling is sin. I feel like Aries, you get such a shitty reputation because when you live in your authenticity, you get called childish, you get called arrogant, or even aggressive in some ways. And of course, there's a difference between being direct and being aggressive. But I feel like Aries with the bubble card, you really just want to understand that there's a chapter ending in your life. This is very 12th house energy. So don't be afraid of, even physically cleaning, taking care of inventory, making sure that you're not dealing with any physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual crap.
True that. And Taurus moon, Taurus rising. We have the never-ending story, which has a different interpretation in the book than I'm picking this up on. We have 29 degrees Uranus. You're finishing off a 12th house chapter that might have made many of you feel like you're never going to end certain like habits or facets. And I split the deck, I got peace. it's not that it's gonna end, it's that it's gonna totally morph. So this whole notion behind this card is not allowing recurring thoughts and patterns to make you feel like something is going to happen. The main message I'm getting is the way things used to work, the narrative and story things used to work, is not going to be the same. So yeah, things might have worked when you try and get with people. Things might have worked in a career situation for the worse, and it's not going to be the same. Like, you don't have to approach it with the same fears or the same attitude.
All right. So for Taurus, interesting, tying in very, very well with what Mike got, we have the loop card. So I feel like for many Taurans, yeah, you feel like you're in an endless cycle. So this is you finally cutting out of that and you finally moving into a greater sense of awareness where it's almost like kind of like how it's a puzzle that can't be solved with logic. You have to put yourself out of the dimension in order to understand it for its fullness. And so now that you're going to have this sort of almost out of body experience, it's going to give you the perception you need to get out of this trap, if you will.
Nice. Gemini. All right. Shout out to Tanya, who can see my spirit team. That's what's up. I see your message. I'm starting to take when people see stuff more seriously because Jupiter's in Sag. Gemini moon, Gemini rising. We have loyal heart. Okay. In one aspect, this is talking about you, just like they say we have twins. This is both aspects of you connecting in an authentic way that hasn't before. But I also see this as you manifesting a connection with someone who you trust at a very heart level. High romantic undertones to this. So congratulations, Gemini.
Ooh, interesting. Also, again, tying in with Mike's card, we have the change card. So this is you talking about both halves of your yin and yang being able to sync with one another in a more compact and dynamic way that actually allows for healthy discussion as opposed to just mindless conflict. And so I feel like, so for many Geminis, this is going to be a time where there's going to be a lot of change. There's going to be a lot of shift in terms of your mental awareness and your functionality. So just be aware that you are completely powerless and you have to trust. And that's all that I can say on that.
And it's so true. Completely powerless and have to trust. Jesus Christ. Been the hugest ego death. Cancer moon, Cancer rising. We have orphaned, which I feel is almost super representative of Cancer. Cancer, I don't feel like you're going to be feeling orphaned. If you feel orphaned, it's because you're empathically connecting with people who are feeling that sense within themselves. In fact, Cancer, I'm getting that you're probably going to be mistaking other people's emotions for your own because of the blending nature of this Pisces season energy. And even more so, on one level, the orphaned is like with all this seventh house cap, you being rejected by people who realize, oh, you're not going to let me manipulate you. You're getting disowned. But other than that, I really get the sense that you might be the patron mother for people who feel orphaned, people who will feel nurtured by your presence, which is awesome.
And complimenting that, I feel like I agree with Mike because for Cancer, we have the sweet card. So I feel like you are providing a lot of, this is a very fun, positive card. So I feel like for you, you're going to sweeten up someone's day or your day is going to be sweetened. And with this full moon, I definitely feel like there's going to be a lot of rewards where what I kind of channeled was Cinderella, the Disney movie, where she was actually technically also an orphan, and the scene where she lost everything, where she thought she was going to go to the ball, she thought she was going to have a fun night away from slavery for a night, and they snatched her fucking pearls, and they ruined her. And so as she was crying and sobbing, that's when her fairy godmother came in. And so I feel like for you, you might have this brief feeling of dejection. Maybe it's like a memory even, but you're going to see how you are your own fairy godmother and how you can be that for other people at the same time. And it's abundant, so don't even worry about it.
Leo, we have regeneration. which is really awesome because okay, what I'm picking up is that at your expense, you had to, and I'm speaking more of like the Mars and Aquarius opposition you had, and all these king hunters. You had to actually feel, you had to go through some damage. You had to go through some emotional pain, just for some of you to realize you actually bleed. Just for some of you to kind of understand how you feel. A lot of the Jupiter in the fourth house transit in Scorpio was for that. And so now you're just kind of healing, but I don't even get like healing from regeneration. It's like creating stronger energy. Oh, in some cases, like a Zenkai boost. There we go. In Dragon Ball Z, where like Saiyans have Zenkai boosts, like when they almost die, they get stronger. So the reason why I was hard to say is this was not an organic process. It's kind of like how, and I hate to use this analogy, but like Vegeta was asking Krillin, hey, I need you to bring me almost to death so that I can heal myself and get stronger. It's like some of you walked into situations knowing would hurt you, but you were stronger than, and now you're healing, and now it's just not going to hurt you as much. So it's on one level regeneration, but the theme is you're getting so much stronger tolerance to stuff that used to like intimidate you.
Amen. And so the card we have for Leo is the Mirror card. So I feel like this is you looking back in the mirror and you seeing yourself in all of your glory and your truth and your rawness and not being afraid of it, because Leos have to be very careful with our power. You know, the sun rules Leo, and, you know, we're the source of all love. And so there's this notion, or rather we are representatives of this source love, but it's like we have to be able to love ourselves before we can love someone else. And so I feel like for Leos, this is the message that the love that you are seeing within is going to be found externally, where before you might have had to, you know, put it on yourself. And by all means, continue to do so, but just realize that the love that you shine on yourself will shine on everyone else. Because think about it. It's like if you shine light at a mirror, what's it going to do? It's going to reflect that. And so, yeah, just really be optimistic, Leo, because with that regeneration card, you are going to get a glow up, and I'm super excited.
And Virgo moon, Virgo rising, we have happy. In fact, this is going to allow you to be the source of serendipitous events, not like serendipity, but more so you just being there will cause happy things to happen to yourself and others. So I'm definitely going to find some Virgo ruled energy to be around. Makes sense. The full moon's in your sign. It's telling you to be happy, but you're going to come into very fortunate situations. So congratulations.
Ooh, interesting. Also for Virgo, we got the dream card. So I feel like for you, this could be your dream coming true. This also is a message that, tying in very well with this full moon, you want to pay attention to your energy body, because you are going to be exposed to a lot of weird dreams and synchronicities that you cannot explain, that cannot be quantified or proven, quote unquote. So you really just want to just embrace what you see, because there's going to be a message, but it's completely and utterly nonverbal. So don't expect it to be in English.
Libra moon, Libra rising. We have between worlds. And this is very important because Pisces is your 6th house. And everything about Pisces season is going between worlds. We're stepping into a magical portal before we come out of it into Gemini season. And in your 6th house, this is going to really affect the developmental progress of your behavior. So even though this between worlds message is super abstract and it's speaking of you borrowing from stuff in your inner world and bringing it out, for you, Libra, hear me out. Like, you're going to really have to deal with mythological energies and beings overlapping with this real world and really having to balance your sanity, because none of this shit's going to make sense. So good luck.
All right. So interesting. So Libra, we got the Storm card. So something's coming for you. This is very similar to the Tower card. So you are evolving and you are losing a lot of old unhealthy foundations, but it's, you know, making room for new opportunities for things to come in. So whatever conflicts happen this week, it's up to you to flex your power and to show that you are not willing to sacrifice your boundaries anymore. So yeah, Libra, good luck with that.
Sweet. Scorpio, Scorpio moon, Scorpio rising. We have the fates. The fates are aligning every action this week to karma itself, and it's definitely going to add a serendipitous nature to your interactions with people. Know that you are aligned with your destiny, not in a nodal sense, but to where the definition of your character is defining your fate, and you have a lot more support than you know. So this card is pushing you to do what your heart wants to do, and to know that it's aligned with your destiny.
All right.
What are you, Lisa?
So Scorpio, you get the same card as Leo. You get the mirror. So I feel like for Scorpio, you two are in a very, very, very similar position to Leo, where you're starting to see how a lot of what I feel for you, it's more of a message how a lot of the pain that you've had to receive is really alchemizing into something even more powerful. So it's very similar to Leo. But in this case, I feel like this is you, and I'm going to pull, with the Thunder card too on the bottom. I feel like this is you really having to make a lot of important decisions about what I'm channeling is your reputation. Not that it matters, but if there's a certain, you know, aspect of life that you want, you have to put it within yourself. So it's like if you want somebody to be at a certain standard, you have to hold yourself to those same standards. So so it's the same message to Leo, is that your external world will reflect your inner, but you have more of a choice, where Leo just simply has to be more.
I love how you told people with 10th house Leo that their reputation doesn't really matter. I mean, you didn't mean it like that.
I mean, like, ultimately, depending on how you look at it, but it's like, and that's another.
You're totally right. Like how you said it. I just love the irony of that. Like how that kind of sounds.
Well, I'm a Pisces moon Saturn. I tell everyone, if you think that this reality, if you think that your material or your reputation really matters ultimately at the end of time, then you might have some problems.
Maybe so. I very much so agree. All right. Sagittarius moon, Sagittarius rising. Ooh, okay. Ooh, we have serendipity, right? And then what came over was also happy, and this makes so much sense. So, I mean, you and Virgo are winning. This is just happy situations, and I just had a synchronicity with the Sag too. Jupiter is working through y'all, so it's saying that you're bringing this force of serendipity, and you want to be a source of happiness because you're just going to be blessing everyone with serendipitous events tied to you, which is super badass, so amazing.
Absolutely. Ooh, lovely. Also, so we've got for Sag, we've got the fight card. So I feel like for you, this isn't like it's going to be some sort of conflict, rather that you are rather going to be fighting with your love, fighting with your joy, fighting with your, you know, light, and you're using that as your weapon. So the more joy and fun and optimism that you share, the more that you will be combating dark forces and any sort of obstacles that are in your way. So lucky you, Sag.
Capricorn moon, Capricorn rising. The card we have for you, Yin, and this is so important. The yin element and quality of your experience is under major transformation and subsequently construction. So the whole notion and theme of being a receptive being and being receptive in your experience is coming with building blocks as the fundamental nature of how you just receive. Totally different. So you do this and tap into this by just being receptive. In fact, this full moon is encouraging you to just be receptive. As a cardinal sign, you focus a lot on the yang. You want to focus more on the yin. So this is saying Solutions you might feel you have to do something, try not doing anything. See what happens.
And we've got the flower card. So this is a very, very, very abundant card. It's very, very fruitful. And so I feel like this ties in kind of well, because the more you're able to focus on the yin, the more you'll be able to draw it in and let the flowers and let the fruit and everything bloom. So definitely just embrace more of a passive side Capricorn and let the work do itself.
Capricorn, Aquarius moon, Aquarius rising. The card that we have for you is also serendipity. I'm glad we got this twice so far. Serendipity for you, Aquarius, is talking about experiences working out way better than you expect, random experiences of luck just showing its face. And especially for you, Aquarius, if you have a feeling that something bad's going to happen, if you get an intuition that something nerve-wracking, if you feel nervous before anything you do, it's because serendipity is about to flip it on its head. So walk into experiences that you're nervous towards filled with excitement. You're not going to feel like it, but just letting you know, enjoy the serendipity.
And tying in, we've got the Thunder card. So this is coming out of nowhere. You're not going to see it coming, Aquarius. So there's going to be a lot of, important decisions that you're going to have to make. But I feel like there's going to be a lot of opportunity for you to really change things, if you will, at the last minute to something a little bit more favorable if a situation goes sour, but it's going to require you to take the action.
And finally, Pisces moon, Pisces rising. We have, oh my God, new life. This is dope. I didn't realize how beautiful this oracle card is. I'm gonna read an excerpt from it. The energy I got from it was so happy. So congratulations, Pisces energy. We have, I won't read the whole message. I'll just read the first part. Birth of new ideas, growth opportunities, breath of fresh air, life renewing self. When spring awakens the world, joy and excitement can be felt all around and in your very core. Blossoms burst from trees overnight. Birds return home and sing their glorious song. And nature is full of promise. Miracles beckon all of us. This is one of those times in your life when new ideas inspire you and new opportunities bring you hope for seeing your dreams come true. All is well in your world, and you have the energy you need to feel renewed. Allow your heart to fill with enthusiasm. Let your light shine, for this is a time of good fortune.
Amen. Oh, also, so tying in well with that, so we have the shock card. So don't be afraid of going for what you want. Don't be afraid of focusing on that dream, Pisces, and making the effort and focusing and just going for it. And with this new life card tying in, I feel like this is you almost feeling, just like a brand new person, just like your energy reviving, your ability to, focus again, but in a more Piscean sort of way, which is actually more truthful. So I find it interesting how through your magic and through your understanding of magic, which is just trust and focus, you will experience true magic, Pisces.
Amen. And yeah, that seems to be it for us right now. Anything you want to close off? Any advice you want to close off with us for?
Ooh, so the final card that I have for everyone is the Silence. So don't reveal all of your hand, not that because you shouldn't per se, but I feel like certain people, if they don't believe in magic, they just don't believe. If someone doesn't believe, you can't tell them, right? Because they won't believe you, right? So there's this element of you having to keep things secret that, it's sort of like on a need to know basis. So like, you don't want to tell everyone how magical you are because I feel like that defeats the purpose, right? The entire wizarding world of Harry Potter is underground. No one knows what a wizard really is. And so on the muggle side of things. So I feel like this is a reminder just that, you have to respect everyone's choices. And if they choose to, not, speak their magic per se, then they will not receive any, unfortunately.
And so beautifully said. And to accent this, I feel like you spoke of the Pisces. This is the Virgo. Clean it up. keep whatever you clean silent too. Like don't be open about what you're healing. Like clean it up, but keep it to yourself. And yeah, I think we can end right there. Thank you guys for joining us like you always do. I feel like this new life card applies to everyone because it's also Pisces season. So this is a new life of magic, supernatural magic, because magic has always existed, but there's an ancient, I'm going to talk to you a bit about this after because it applies directly to you, but there's an ancient quality of magic that was primordial, that was sealed away, that couldn't exist when, you know, creation started to come underway because, you know, might have been too much. That's coming back, but not for everybody, for those who actually walk through that door. So looking forward to that. And enjoy your full moon cycle, y'all. Enjoy it profoundly. And also, please make sure you stay tuned to Future Life. We're uploading the weekly videos for this week. Stay tuned for the health horoscopes that Apollodite has on deck. And stay tuned. Him and I are going to be working on a weekly show where we actually, you know, cover the transits of the week, talk pop culture, and, you know, be magic as we usually are. So other than that, you stay blessed, y'all. And until next time, peace out.
Bye.